My name is Amanda Tay, and I'm the host of Momentum Talks, a show about smart factories. Since us humans lived in caves, we have always evolved our technology in order to adapt to and master our environment. But the environment itself has changed, and now it is up to us to evolve our technology accordingly in order to counter climate changes. There's no secret that to reach the global climate goals, transportation has to become electric. But did you know that there's a whole new industry being born? The carbon-neutral automotive industry. In this episode, we will discuss how automotive factories have to become smart, not only in order to be competitive, but to even survive. Is it really evolve or die? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Momentum Talks, Peter Bryntesson and Johan Dahlström. We will start by looking at the electrification shift a bit on a company level. Peter, could you tell us a bit of how crucial the electrification shift is to the industry? Is it really evolve or die?
Yes, it's really crucial. We did a survey last year in our members, and we asked them if they see a major change in their product portfolio until 2030, and 83% answered yes on that question.
And so then the natural follow-up question, what does the shift actually mean for automotive suppliers?
Mainly, it's a shift in the competence. They need new or different competence, but also a big change is in the business model for them. We can compare it with the music industry. 2000, when we bought a CD to listen to the music, and now we buy the music directly. And the major technical part made that possible was the MP3 technique. And in our case now, we see that is electrification.
Looking a bit more on your member companies, what would you say are the major driving forces for them in this transformation?
It's mainly the business model. We will probably buy transport in the future and not the vehicles itself. So we will see a less volume but higher turnover. Another major driver is sustainability. We had the former CEO of Scania, Henrik Henriksson, as a speaker, and he told the crowd that no one will buy from you, no one will invest in you, and no one will work for you if you are not a sustainable company in the future.
But when it comes to sustainability, I know that you believe that just delivering parts for electric vehicles is not enough, but that the whole automotive industry needs to become climate neutral as well. So from the role of a component supplier, what does this mean?
Today we are a supply chain from raw material to then customer, and that needs to change. We need to be more circular because we need to use our resources in a much better way in the future.
And has any car brand been able to produce a truly climate-neutral vehicle so far?
No, and we are quite far away from that actually, but there are several initiatives. One Swedish, Polestar Zero, and they will be climate neutral 2030, and they will only have 100% recycled material.
Sounds like they're well on their way. Your member companies are component suppliers, and to be direct, what are the most important steps they need to take in order to evolve and survive?
There are three key areas, and that is sustainability, digitalization, and electrification. And to be successful with that, we definitely need a new type of competence and a complete new business model in the business.
So as a representative for an industry organization, in your opinion, do policymakers do enough in order to facilitate this transformation, or is there anything they could do better?
Yeah, they are doing well, but we see they need to speed up. The industry is really going fast right now, and we need higher speed, especially when it comes to green, reliable energy. We also see charging stations are needed, especially when it comes to heavy trucks.
But it's not all challenges, right? What opportunities do you see in the automotive industry due to this transformation?
We actually see a lot of opportunities as well. We in Sweden, we are very curious on new technology, and we have invented Skype, Spotify, Minecraft, for example. And if we can implement that in the automotive industry, we will be successful.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights, Peter. And there are for sure many challenges to overcome, but there is also loads of opportunities arising from this transformation. Now let's move the focus a bit closer to where electric vehicles are actually being made, the smart automotive factories. Johan Dahlström, you have extensive experience in smart factories in general, but also batteries in particular. Having worked in both China and in Europe, who would you say have come the furthest in the EV evolution?
Yeah, easy answer is China. They begin this transition 2008, first as a way to stimulate the economy during the financial crisis.
What do you think is the main cause for this different rate of evolution?
Bad air quality was a big problem in the big cities in China. Electrical vehicle has no emission, so you get better air quality in the big cities if you have an electrical car.
And I know that you have personal experience of this difference in air quality as well.
Yeah, 6 years ago, I built up a new automotive test center in Beijing, and some days the air was so bad, you could feel, you could eat the dirty air. You could not almost see your hand in front of you, and you were breathing particles. It was like you were eating particles. So, since a few years, you can only allowed to purchase electrical vehicle in Beijing, and this has really improved the air quality.
And so, batteries are at the core of the EV evolution. And I suppose that we work differently in regards to battery production around the world as well?
Battery production is the same in the cell production, but you also need battery value chains. You need to have the minerals, the machines to produce the battery. And today, the European battery manufacturers are focusing on the cell production and the traction battery that you put inside the electrical vehicle. But we need also to focus on this battery material production.
So does that look different in China then?
Yes. Since China started this so many years ago, they have a complete value change for batteries. While in Europe, we begin to pick up certain parts in the value chain.
So as far as I understand, the West is dependent on China for key minerals and machines in order to produce batteries. Is that why companies such as Ford and Volkswagen are developing their own battery production in order to lessen this dependency?
Yes, and these are very good examples. But we need to move fast.
Electric vehicle battery often comes with a discussion on sustainability. Could you give some examples about how the industry is working for more sustainable battery production today?
First of all, you can look at the chemistry. Europe will like to use cobalt to get high energy density and power density, so we can drive a long range. While in China, in the big cities, you use iron instead of cobalt. You cannot drive as long as with cobalt, but it's good enough for a big city. Secondly, you can look at the shape of a battery, like a blade battery that is produced by BYD. Thirdly is that the Chinese giants are now building a factory for mass-produced sodium-ion battery that can be used as a supplement to lithium-ion battery. They are more sustainable, but you will not have the same driving range.
So, can you please explain a bit more why these blade batteries are more sustainable?
Yeah, if you take a simple round battery cell and pack it in a square box, you get a lot of empty spaces. But if you develop long, slim battery cells, you can put them like knives in the drawer, because you can pack blades in higher density than normal battery cell. You can use non-cobalt lithium-ion battery. For example, you can use iron, that is more sustainable than cobalt. And secondly, is they are more easy to recycle the blade shape than a cylindrical shape. They are more easy to pick out for recycling than normal prismatic or push cell. As one example, we have Toyota is now building an electrical vehicle with BYD only for the Chinese market. That will cost about $30,000 US.
That's not a lot.
No, it's not a lot. And this one will use the blade battery.
And looking at the recycling of batteries, how can we increase the overall percentage of EV battery recycling?
They are now building up plants for recycling of the batteries. But the key question, I think, is that we need the sustainable recycling of the battery. And to do that, we first need to be able to pick out the battery cell from the battery pack. And for that, you will need robots to do, or you change the shape of the battery cell so they are more easy to pick out.
So why aren't they using robots to take out the batteries today?
Because today, we, first of all, have no standard on how the battery pack should look like. We have no identification code. This is a battery cell, this is an electronic part, this is a power unit part. A robot needs to be able to find by itself, this is the battery cell, this is the battery pack, and that the robots today are not smart enough.
And so what is actually being done today then when it comes to improving battery recycling?
Today, because we cannot pick out the battery cell, we crush the whole battery pack in a big crusher till we get out what you call a black mass. And from that black mass, you can extract the cobalt, the aluminum, the nickel. But you lose a lot of material in this process.
If you got to build the automotive factory of your dreams, what would it look like?
First, I will build up a digital twin of the factory so I can learn from it digitally. I especially focus on the energy consumption to the factory. We need to develop models that can reduce this energy consumption. And if you could build up a model of a factory with a digital twin, the system itself could reduce the energy consumption to it. This needs to be combined with green, renewable electricity, preferred from solar or wind power, but are connected to batteries. So they can store the electricity and give out the electricity when the factory demands it.
So basically, a self-sustaining smart factory with its own battery recycling. What are the challenges you need to overcome in order to build such a factory in, for instance, Sweden?
We don't have machines.
Oh.
We don't have the suppliers to make the machines for battery manufacturing.
Thank you so much, Johan Dahlström and Peter Bryntesson, for joining us on this episode of Momentum Talks. It is even more clear that sustainability is one of the key drivers for the transformation, and battery production and recycling are two of the major challenges. Now, let's go down to the automotive factory floor and see what this transformation actually means for assembly. With us now from e-mobility in India, we have Giri. Welcome to Momentum Talks.
Thank you, Amanda. It's my pleasure as well to join the show.
As vehicles are turning electric, how does this affect you as an assembly supplier in the automotive industry?
I think picking up from Peter's thoughts, I can clearly see the industry is today breathing towards sustainability. Sustainability is the key driver for across all OEMs. There is no doubt about that. No, it's today not enough to just produce electric cars. There's no debate on that. But the key question is how to produce them in a more sustainable way.
And how can smart assembly tools and integrated assembly lines help car manufacturers become more sustainable?
I think the answer here is if I look at the industry back and today, there's a big transformation that has happened from the pneumatic or the air tools towards electric, more so of cordless electric. So when I say cordless smart electric tools, I mean the controllers are not there. They are becoming virtual. They're also sitting in the cloud or the server. It's not only that, these tools are more of connected with the data, and it connects with the enterprise solution as well. Overall, with the setup time reduction, with the line balancing effect and the productivity increase, I would say clearly in a typical final assembly line, potential of saving 1,000 hours is possible.
Okay, but can smart integrated assembly also make the R&D of new EV models more sustainable?
I think why not? Yes. When I heard the word R&D, it's closely linked with the product timeline launch. The R&D team are very important people in the timeline of a product. I've heard a CEO stating that if your timeline is missed, then your product becomes irrelevant. So much importance is there on the timeline of a product. And here, it's not just the race to win the climate war. It's also to gain the market share. And how can we help the R&D team over here? Imagine if you provide the digital twin form of an assembly tool to an R&D person. It makes him to visualize the production with respect to the tool running in an application, and he can see the functionality of the joint, simulate the working condition. Not only that, he can verify the performance of the tool on the joint, let's say how it happens after a year, and more and more.
At the core of electrification, we have batteries. So can you give some examples of how you work for a more sustainable battery production as an assembly provider?
I think you're right. The battery assembly is where a lot of innovation is happening at a very rapid pace. And that's very close to my heart as well. I've seen huge amount of innovation happening at both customer end and also at our end as well. I can give an example here where we have worked on a brilliant solution in the thermal gap filler application, helping the customer to manage their thermal management of the batteries. The challenge here, as we see, is the geometry of the surfaces are not uniform. There are significant gap, and it has to be compensated. Air inclusions cannot be allowed because it's a concern for heat dissipation more. Here, the solution that our team has developed is to use the intelligence of the vision systems, scan the geometry of the material, provide this data to the dispensing solutions, which will allow the optimal dispensing of volume and hence getting the quality of the battery achieved. It's not only that, with the help of the follower plates and the vacuum system that is deployed in the pump, we also help them to reduce or minimize the wastage of material while doing barrel change. All in all, if I were to put it in a tangible way, a battery assembly can have a 20% of material saved per battery pack in this new design that we have done. I think this is brilliant.
Wow, that is quite a lot. And how can you help customers innovate regarding their battery assembly?
I think today every battery manufacturer is customizing the solutions with respect to the end consumer needs. And I would again pay a very vital tribute to the innovation centers that we have deployed across US, Europe, and in Asia, closer to the customers, in ensuring that they are involved in various processes like application engineering, material testing, prototype development, helping the customers in all possible ways.
The integration of assembly lines with smart tools seems to be the way forward for sustainable manufacturing. Thank you for all these concrete tips, Giri, and great to have you here all the way from India. We live in exciting automotive times, filled with not only challenges, but also great opportunities. In this Momentum Talks, we discussed with experts within electric transformation, and we identified how to evolve to a sustainable industry. First, sustainability is at the core of transformation. Use it as a guiding star. Take a close and hard look at your business model. Does it need an update? Do your competence match your reality? Educate current or complement with new ones? Materials and batteries in electric vehicles need to be recyclable. Are yours? Integrate all your assembly to make it more flexible and more sustainable. And lastly, seize opportunities and join the evolution today. So the integration of assembly lines with smart tools seems to be the sustainable way forward within the automotive industry.